as Appendix J. Now, that form of racing lives on today in Group NB Historic Touring Car Racing. It's for cars between 1959 and the end of 1964 in their manufacturer. The likes of Mark 1 and 2 Jaguars, the EH Holden that you see here, and the Tiny Tots, the Coopers, the Cortinas and the like. There's something for everyone in a class that's diverse with a great mix, and it puts on some fantastic racing. Mother's Car Care Group NB touring cars for pre-1965 machines. 38 cars on the grid, Mark. This is going to be good.
Yeah, no shortage of entries and no shortage of brands too. Tremendous variety in the Group NB fields as they get away. So the touring cars built competing prior to 1965, and look at them as they head down toward turn one. A magnificent sight.
Now, Scott Fleming started from pole in the Lotus Cortina, but he's got some big muscle chasing him down.
Yeah, your V8's up the front as they shuffle down through turn one. Very fast corner, then hard on the brakes down into turn two. Keep in mind, a lot of these cars rely on four-wheel drum brakes, and let me tell you, a few big stops around this joint and they're well and truly on fire.
And the fact is, it's 5 laps, so that's probably a good thing. Look at the variety, though, Marco. There's about 8 different manufacturers. Look at this, the Chevy Nova. And in Spanish, I think that means it doesn't go, but it goes pretty well at Eastern Creek.
There it is, mid-packs. Huge field comes over, plunging down in toward turn 4. Ford custom lines, minis. You couldn't ask for greater variety than this, but it's the Cortina leading them through round the back of Corporate Hill for the first time.
And this is the part of the circuit with a little Cortina in its element where handling plays its part. We'll get back to the main straight and the big V8s will open up.
Now, this is something different for an in-car view, folks. This is inside the classic EH Holden. Look at that! Column shift, 3-speed, just like the taxi drivers used to do back in their day. And from what I remember, EH Holden's had a steering wheel about double that size and about half as thick. Look at that, back to second. Doing a great job here with the 3 on the tree, the traditional 3-speed EH Holden, legend of Australian touring car racing. And boy, they're in strong numbers in this historic class.
And they're moving forward, further on up the grid. John Bryant in the big Falcon, being muscled, but already Fleming is just getting away. Now he's got problems. The V8s will open up on the long front straight.
Craig Stevenson there on the EH just getting left behind in this absolute charge of the V8s. Look at them. Set loose, pounce on the Cortina as they come down hard under brakes into turn 1. Very, very fast turn this. Those skinny tyres squealing and sliding. And the good old EH there carrying our in-car camera. He's back in 5th position watching this. What a fantastic show.
Fleming hanging on. The red Mustangs, Bill Trendgrove. In the number 22 car, Max Ulrich in car 23. But it really is David v Goliath stuff. It really typifies this era of Australian touring car racing.
This is the way it was, of course. The Cortinas with their lightweight and tremendous braking and handling. The V8s, a bit of an advantage on the straights, but really struggled under brakes and through the turns. And that's why you got this wonderful, what they call cat and mouse racing, small versus large. And they turned it on for lap after lap, as you're seeing here. Whoa, very sideways coming out of turn 4, the Chevy Nova.
Philip Taylor there, really letting it all hang out. We should remind you too that this is period racing. The cars have to be essentially how they were in that era, so there are some compromises.
Sure are, and this car is a classic example. Whoa! Bit of a moment there, coming around the back of Corporate Hill. There's several cars involved.
3 by my count. There was a Mini on one side, there was a Mustang as well.
Craig Stevenson, carrying our in-car camera, managed to thread his way through it all.
But Fleming still leads the way. The big metal hasn't been able to charge down this Cortina, which in its day was such a rocket ship, but oh boy, it's happening everywhere. It's hard to keep up with all this.
Fleming just showing the advantage of a car with excellent braking and handling around a track like Eastern Creek. Let's have a look on the replay. Stevenson's view from the back seat of the EH.
Mini goes right. It's a small car, so it doesn't take long to stop.
There's a big Mustang caught in the middle of this too, I think.
And then just to the left, there's another car there. So 3 spots for Stevenson in the EH.
Boy, isn't he busy on that steering wheel. Go for the column shift. Bang, pull it through to 3rd gear. Wow, this is the way they used to race.
Great stuff. But now Fleming is trying to get the lead back down at turn 2. This is where The nimble Cortina underbrakes will eat these big cars alive.
Yeah, Bryant's got his handful beautifully turned out Falcon Sprint there. The rally sprinter car that was very successful in European rallying. And of course, the late great Frank Gardner turned it into a very useful track weapon in Europe as well. And that's translated to historic racing here.
This is Greg Topfer in the Mustang, a regular in historic touring car racing, but really feeling plenty of pressure at the moment. And it wouldn't be an NB race without a Jag, surely.
No, these cars were the dominant force in the very early days of touring car racing in Australia.
Philip Taylor bringing the Nova into pit lane. But Fleming...
Isn't he pushing hard in the Cortina?
He has to. The straight's coming up, and the big American V8s are going to hunt him down. There's Greg Topfer in the Mustang.
He's got to try and get as much of a lead as he can over these V8s behind him if he's going to have any chance of holding him in a straight line. Look at them all. 1, 2, 3, 4 V8s all in a row. The next one's the E.H. Holden. So watch this as they get onto the long, open main straight at Eastern Creek. It's downhill as well, which really advantages these more powerful cars. Look at Fleming, he just looks like a sitting duck. Look at them pouncing, here they come.
No point moving over, they will mow past. So John Bryant takes the Falcon Sprint to the lead. The Mustangs are going with him. Bill Trengrove sticking right with that Falcon Sprint, but now Fleming comes back, and look how wide, look how sideways the Mustang was, and Fleming, he'll eat them alive.
Sure will, this guy's going well too. Craig Stevenson carrying our in-car camera, gasses it down the main straight there, pulls it into top gear. It's just amazing to think the racing legends like Norm Beachy, Brian Muir, these guys used to race with these column shifts.
And a bloke called Dick Johnson started out in EHs as well.
Yeah, a lot of famous drivers today owe their start to the classic E.H. Holden.
My dad had one of these, but he never drove it quite like this.
Bench seat and all.
Here are our leaders. Some lap traffic ahead for John Bryant to deal with. The ailing David Moran Mustang. And look at, running wide, losing the lead. And straight through goes Bill Trengrove. But he's got Fleming. They just can't get rid of this Cortina.
No, this is a classic example. A track like Eastern Creek, where you've got this enormous straight, but the rest of the circuit is just full of very tight corners. Look at the Cortina. It's just all over the bigger, heavier cars. And this was the beauty of touring car racing, when you had this wonderful variety of machinery, different engine capacities, different wheelbases, different power outputs. You got these cars that were stronger and weaker at different parts of the circuit. Provided such exciting motor racing.
Now Fleming needs to get going. He clears the lapped Mustang because Bill Trengrove has managed to get probably the biggest lead of this race so far.
Yeah, now that he's got the Cortina in a straight line, he'll be able to stretch that advantage. But look at the Falcon Sprint. John Bryant, beautifully turned out car in that black and silver paint job, standing on it as he comes down the main straight. Max Ulrich goes with him, car 23. So this is the final lap, folks. I can tell you, it only takes a few laps around here before the brakes start getting pretty spongy in these cars and the tyres get a bit too hot.
Now Fleming, just dropping back there, did I hint some smoke? He's slowing on the exit of turn 1.
What a shame. He was fighting a lone hand here against a bunch of big V8s. But I think he's got some major mechanical dramas there. Where is he? I think he might have even pulled off the circuit. That's a shame for Scott, because he was doing a tremendous job out there against cars with far greater engine capacity and power.
So chalk one up to Goliath. David 0. Great to see so many of these cars, and not just on the track racing, but being driven with vigour too.
It really is. And a reminder of what a natural sport. Problems there. Whoa. Bill Trengrove gets a big lump of locked brake and understeer, and that allows John Bryant to pounce on him in the Falcon Sprint. Wonder if he can get him into turn 9.
You think he was thinking of the trophy already?
No, he's managed to recover fairly well. So if he can lead them cleanly out of here through the final 2 or 3 turns, he should be home. There we are. But it's just a reminder of the sporting pedigree of the Ford Mustang. This is the earliest model. And from the start, this car was always successful in motorsport. And that continues in the historic field today.
So Bill Trengrove has just managed to do enough to get away from them. The Mothers Group NB Historic Touring Cars turning it on at the Muscle Car Masters, and Ford will be 1, 2, 3, 4.